All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Gunner Technology Livestream, a weekly tech talk for non-techies and techies alike. I'm your host, Ray Americans. With me is CEO of Gunner Technology, Cody Swan. What's up, Cody?
Just adjusting my levels here because it sounds like you're screaming in my ear, but you're not. So I swear, like, we do this every week, and
Yeah.
I don't change anything. I change nothing. And yet
Gremlins.
Yeah.
Gremlins in the system. It's tough. Am I all right now? Am I still...
Yeah, it was totally on my end. It was totally on my end. The sound was just way too high on my end.
Yeah, it looks like OBS we're all right. We're just catching the yellow, which is perfect. So we'll hop right into things here. We got our Country Shore giveaway. Country Shore is a lifestyle brand for anyone who loves the outdoors. You can visit them at countryshoreoutfitters.com. The winner of our giveaway is Jack K from, I thought it was London, England, but it's actually London, Connecticut. So that'll save us some shipping. Jack, you've got a Country Shore hat heading your way along with copies of our ebooks, so enjoy those. And for anyone who didn't win, sign up on our Facebook page for next week's Country Shore giveaway. And while you're on our Facebook page, go ahead and answer the question of the week, which this past week. What was the question, Cody?
Have you ever negotiated price on anything? And there was some. I didn't get a lot of specifics, but it was funny because one of the comments I can really relate to is they would negotiate prices at Home Depot and Lowe's. And if you don't know this, usually there's a Home Depot, wherever there's a Home Depot, there's a Lowe's and vice versa. And you could totally negotiate price with them. You could just say, all right, well, I'm going to go across the street from Lowe's and buy this for whatever. And a lot of the time they'll actually, they'll lower the price for you.
Really?
So I thought that was interesting.
See, I didn't even know that. Like Home Depot will price match Lowe's and vice versa.
Yeah. And because they generally have different brands, like for example, like Lowe's carries Husky and Home Depot will carry like Ryobi. So they're different brands. So it doesn't have to be a price match necessarily. You can like negotiate. You could be like, look, man, like the Husky is the same price over at Lowe's, and Husky is a better brand. So like you got to take like at least $2 off this thing.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. I know Best Buy price matches. Speaking of price matching and haggling, you find something super cheap on Amazon, and Best Buy carries it. They'll match that.
And actually, there's an app that basically,
of course, there's
you give the app access to. This is kind of sketchy. You give the app access to your email, and it will parse your email.
What?
It will parse your email and look for receipts for stuff you order online. And then it will go and try to find the same item somewhere else cheaper online. So you can email them back and be like, hey, I found this cheaper online. If you don't lower your price, I'm going to return it.
Good Lord. And all it takes is giving complete access to your email to some random sketchy application.
The thing about that is I order most of my stuff from Amazon. I mean, I can't even think of anywhere else I order stuff from online anymore. And so like Amazon, like 99 times out of 100 is going to have the lowest price.
Yeah, that's the trouble. I think I just heard that the new is there a new attorney general or like a candidate for attorney general?
Yes, William Barr.
Someone said something like, I'm not sure what the antitrust division of the Justice Department's doing, but we really should look at the companies we always talk about: Amazon, Google, Facebook. And see what the heck is going on there, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. Especially with Amazon, because Amazon is borderline monopoly at this point.
Yeah, but the thing is like the thing that's weird about that is it's misunderstood. Is to be antitrust, it has to be more than a monopoly. It has to be a monopoly that is not beneficial for the consumer. And I don't know how you're going to get over that bar. I don't know how you're going to get over that bar to show that that Amazon is not good for the consumer. Like,
that's the thing, and maybe it'll change down the line. But right now, there's a reason why everyone shops at Amazon. It's because that's where you get the cheapest stuff. You get it second day for free.
Right, exactly. And so if they start, we've talked about before, if they start bundling stuff up like their phone with like Prime memberships, then they're moving toward it into that Microsoft type territory.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So
we'll see. Keep an eye on that. What's the question for next week?
The question for next week is, did you set goals? Did you set personal goals for 2019? And if so, what were they?
Interesting.
And it doesn't matter if you don't. It doesn't matter if you don't tell us, because we install an app on your computer that
just by watching this live stream,
parses your inbox and tells us what your resolutions and goals were for 2019.
This live stream is a Trojan horse.
What's the difference between a resolution? What's the difference between a resolution and a goal?
You know, I was talking to my brother about that. He actually had a definition, and now I can't remember. I think a goal has measurables, and a resolution is like a habit change almost.
Okay.
So resolution is something you just want to do consistently. A goal is, you know, I want to, you know, bench 250 pounds by the end of the year, something like that.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Numbers.
And like resolution is I'm going to stop picking my nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it. What if it's like, I'm going to pick my nose less than once a week?
See, that's the gray area. That's the gray area. That's a resolution goal. Or a goalless resolution.
Got it.
But hop on our Facebook page and tell us what your resolutions are. I'd actually be curious to hear what other people came up with. But for now, let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. A little bit of a long intro there, but this week we're going to talk about what I would consider to be the most important aspect of the success of a product, and that is marketing. So I know we've talked about it many, many times on the live stream over the course of, gosh, what is it, 5 series we've done now? But we constantly come back to marketing because at the end of the day, unless you win the lottery and you sort of have that catch lightning in a bottle thing, like Flappy Bird, where there was no marketing, it was all word of mouth, and it became the most successful game on the App Store just by happenstance. Unless you catch lightning in a bottle, you've got to have a really sound marketing plan, marketing strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do harp on that a lot. And it's marketing is imperative, whether you're kind of going after a product marketing, or you're marketing your services. And it's just absolutely critical to the growth and sustainability of anything. And it's funny because despite that, it's like Coca-Cola spends, I mean, probably 8/9 of its budget on marketing,
right?
Because it's weird, because the minute you start kind of relaxing is when you start slipping, because everything has a shelf life, and basically marketing is doing everything it can to sustain that shelf life. So it's both critical in the awareness phase, where you're just trying to get people to know what you are and what you do, or what your product is or what your product does, but also to keep reinventing yourself. So it's not just like, oh, that's just Coca-Cola. Like, oh no, it's the new Coke or whatever. It's constantly in reinventing yourself and your services and your brand and products.
Yeah, new Coke is a good example of how not to market your product, or how not to develop a new product. So like the greatest failures.
Crystal Pepsi, was that what it was?
Yeah, yeah, Crystal Pepsi was like the clear Pepsi, right?
Yes, it was.
And wasn't there a competitor for Coke? I actually thought Crystal Pepsi was a great idea. My dad loved it because he was obsessed with like keeping the rugs clean at the house. So we bought Crystal Pepsi like crazy. I loved it. And I mean, nowadays it won't stain your teeth too, which with cola is definitely staining your teeth. So it's so funny how that died though. I mean, which I guess at the end of the day comes back to marketing and changing people's behaviors.
Yeah,
which also goes to show how hard it is. Because I mean, I can't imagine how much money Coke poured into that, and it completely fell on its face. Or Pepsi, rather. It's tough. So I guess when you're talking about marketing your idea, I think one of the first things to do as far as marketing goes is to have the budget for it. Like, you've got to sort of plan ahead and make sure that you have enough in reserve, that when your product is a sort of reached MVP phase, where it's sort of ready to go out to the public at large, that you have enough cash on hand. And we can talk again about what that should be in terms of monthly production budget versus monthly marketing budget. But you've got to sort of have that reserve available so that you can hit the ground running with a sound marketing strategy out of the gate.
Yeah, and again, as we always say, we're in the service industry here, so our marketing is, we know firsthand, our marketing for ourselves is for a service, and then we help companies market for products. So it's, two different worlds here. And so generally marketing for a service or a product in some respects, you kind of have like two goals in mind. And that's like basically if your marketing strategy involves one-on-one communication, primarily, like as most services do, your marketing strategy, at least the digital and the kind of non-personal marketing, is going to be all about like providing evidence. So what I mean by that is two things. Either you want to have such a large spread of marketing that covers so much area that by the time I go talk to John Doe about using our service, he's at least heard of Gunner Technology. So he's like, oh yeah, I've heard of you guys. I've heard of you guys. It provides a little bit of legitimacy if they've heard of you beforehand. And then also another big aspect of that type of marketing is after they talk with you, very rarely are they just gonna be like, yes, take my money, sign me up. They're going to go do their due diligence and they're going to research your company. And that marketing they find when they're researching your company is another big part of the marketing efforts that go into that. At the other end of it, there is the kind of like pull marketing, where what you basically do is you're pulling someone through a pipeline. And so in situations like that, you know, the pipeline we kind of use is know, like, trust, engage. And so basically, again, that know, we're trying to move someone, if you think of it again as a funnel, where the top is the biggest part of it, and then the end of it is very narrow. At each stage, you have like people who know you, people who like you, people who trust you, and then people who have engaged with you. And at that case, this works for both product and service marketing. At the end, that engage is where they are either they're signing up with you. And in the case of a product, maybe that means creating an account, signing up for a free trial, whatever that is. That's the engaged point. With service, with a service-based company, that engage could be you know, filling out a form to get more information on you, scheduling an appointment. It kind of goes from there. But the funnel, and again, when we talk about know, that means they know of you, they know who you are. And then when you go to that like phase, it's kind of like making friends. So people know you, but do they like you? So yeah, sure, they like us. So that's less people that know you, because not everyone who knows you likes you. And then again, moving down that funnel of the people who like you, how of those people trust you? And again, just like in real world relationships, there's a lot of people you may like, but you wouldn't loan them $1,000 because you don't trust that you get it back. So that's that stage there where they move from like to trust. And then finally, like I said, engage is a much more tangible. They've engaged with you in some shape, form, or fashion. The thing that always gets asked from there is like, well, how do you know if someone likes you? And that's up for the individual company to find. It's very easy if you're marketing on Facebook because they've hit the like button.
Right.
I like you. You know, on Twitter, that could mean they're following you. On LinkedIn,
or on LinkedIn,
yeah, same thing. So you kind of have to define for each platform what it means to like you. Trust can be something like retweeting you or commenting or some sort of other thing where they've or for example, if you're giving away like a white paper, and so they put in an email address in order to get that white paper, they trust you enough to give you their email address in return for something. So it's all about defining what it means for every step, and then meticulously tracking how many people know you, how many people like you, how many people trust you, how many people have engaged with you.
Yeah, and I really want to touch on that tracking aspect too. But before we get there, does the marketing strategy change depending on what phase the contact is in? So I would imagine you would market differently to somebody who knows you, somebody who likes you, somebody who trusts you.
Yeah, and when we speak in this, when we speak in terms of marketing, our greatest experiences with digital marketing, so our examples kind of slant toward digital marketing, but it applies across any aspect of it. Just like again, to use an interpersonal relationship, you know, someone that you don't know, you wouldn't run up to them and give them a hug. You know what I mean?
Well,
and so same thing with digital marketing. You wouldn't show people who don't know you an ad to sign up for your services because they don't know who you are. So you want those people people who don't even see it for Gunner Technology. Hey, we're Gunner Technology. We build software, so they at least know Gunner Technology builds software. Okay, cool. I know Gunner Technology now. Then once the question is, how do you know that they know you? And that can be something as this is where advertising tools come into play from Facebook and Google. They'll note that they've seen this ad. So basically you can show people who have seen an ad or clicked a link another ad. So basically that they know who you are based on how they interacted or what ads they've seen or what links they've clicked. So then you move on to this liking phase, like
us on Facebook for a free copy of our ebook kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like Gunner Technology, like if you're a product, like like 10% of all proceeds go to help vets. Oh, okay, I like that. And even if they like the post, that's getting them to in that stage where they like you kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, and then then moving them on to the trust phase is showing them a whole different type of advertisement, like you said, like, hey, we have this white paper. If you give us your email address, we'll email it to you, kind of thing.
And getting back to the tracking, what's the best way to track all this stuff? Because there's so many numbers flying around in terms of engagement, in terms of people who've liked you, trust you. How do you stay on top of all of those numbers and make sure that your marketing strategy is actually effective and is sort of doing what it needs to do?
Yeah, and this is where it's not easy. It's a lot of legwork, and there are tools out there that will help you automate this process. But it's going into the various tools: Google AdWords, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Google Analytics, and it's taking the raw data and gleaning the numbers from them. Again, you can kind of define them for each network, what it means to know, what it means to like on each different network. But you have to then combine those numbers and then basically just put them into like a spreadsheet almost, and then track the trends over time. This is a really good example of big data, and it's one of those cases where every company's so different in how they do this and what they're, because again, I say we use know, like, trust, engage. Company Z may use something totally different. So it's a problem that really doesn't have a very good automated solution yet.
Yeah, and talking about budget too, I wanted to wrap back to that. What sort of numbers should you be looking at in terms of budget for marketing versus budget for basically everything else?
So we like to back into a budget. So basically, if you start at the end and say what is, like, basically, again, when you're first starting out, it's all guessing. So let me start off by saying that, to be clear, it's all guessing when you're first starting out. The reason you track is so you can move from guesses, estimations to almost hard numbers. So the question is basically, of the people that have engaged with you, what percentage of those people end up becoming paying clients, and what do they end up paying? Like, so this is part biz dev, where you say an average client or an average customer is worth $10,000 a year, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're worth $10,000 a year. And so when they're in that engaged stage, what is the percent chance that they become a customer or client and give you that $10,000? And so let's say it's a 10% chance, right? 10% chance. Then basically you want to spend up to $1,000, not $1,000, but all the way up to $1,000 on those people in the engage to try to flip them to become an actual paying client or customer, because that means you're profitable. So then, but that's only one stage. You move back up a stage and you say, okay, how many people, what's the percentage chance we move someone from trust to engage? And maybe it's 20%. And so then you take that $10,000 and you keep extrapolating it back all the way to the no phase, and you get how much per customer or per client you should be spending to move them down the funnel. So then basically the question, again, through numbers, is when do those numbers start changing, right? Like at some point it's going to become as you start gobbling up market share, the percentage chance is going to decrease. It's going to go from a 10% chance to a 9% chance to an 8% chance. That's just the law of diminishing returns. And so basically you have to take that into account and watch that with your budget. But to be honest, you should be spending as much free cash. And again, in a lot of cases, they take out loans to do this or raise equity to do this, that you're marketing to the point where you're accumulating all of the profits up until $1. If you're trying to grow, if you're trying to get profits as high as possible, then what you want to do is you want to strike that balance where the margin times the volume is as high as it could possibly be. But if you're trying to grow, you want to put every dollar you have into marketing until it becomes not profitable, until it goes from like 1 cent profitability to break even kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that sort of in terms of the service industry model, as long as you are making your money back in that first year, if you're sort of spending less than you spend in that first year, then every year after that is sort of gravy. So it makes sense to spend up to that amount.
Yeah,
up
exactly.
to the amount of whatever the first contract would be.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why you see when companies raise money, they're talking about burn rates, and marketing is a big part of that burn rate. So they know, so in some cases they're going to spend more money than is profitable because they're not worried about a profit. They're worried about growing as fast as they possibly can.
Right.
So basically they know that they may have to spend $100 to acquire a new customer, a new dollars to acquire a new user, but that user actually is only going to pay them back $1. So they haven't that they're losing $99 per acquisition, but that's okay because they've raised outside money and they have this burn rate. And the plan is, yeah, that user's only worth $1 in 2019, but in 2020 we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to make that user worth $200 kind of thing.
Yeah, that's such a risky model. But I mean, I guess.
And by the way, technology is one of the only industries where that actually works, because most places, like in software, you can add stuff without having the customer repurchase or do anything else. It just shows up, it's new, you're adding value to them, or you're making them more valuable to you without them doing anything. It doesn't work in almost any other circumstance because the user has to repurchase or change something. It's the only model where that kind of risky behavior actually sometimes pays off.
Yeah, sometimes, I guess, being the key word there. But it's sort of it's what you have to do sort of in this landscape at this point, because in terms of raising money, in terms of looking profitable to outside investors, they're always looking at the user numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the weird thing, is because unlike, so if you're a retail company, they don't care how many users that you have. They care about what your profitability is, because again,
if you have one user who spends $1 million a day, that's fine.
Right. You can't make you can't increase the value of a user just magically. You can change your marketing strategy and increase the ticket sales that someone has to buy, but they don't magically become more valuable. Unlike in technology where again, Facebook used to not have ads, so users were worth nothing, but then they start selling advertisement, and now a user's worth $1,000 or whatever. Yeah. So it really is this weird thing where it's about how many users you have, because the actual value of the users can change very quickly.
And sort of living long enough to make those users valuable. Because like MoviePass tried to do that and just increase their user base, 1,000-fold by offering unlimited movies for $10 a month.
Exactly.
And quickly approached bankruptcy, even though their user base expanded, exponentially. They ran out of money within like a year and a half, basically, and now they're sort of floundering. So it's definitely a huge risk. And I did want to ask, is there anything, because we've talked a lot about sort of marketing services, because that's sort of our niche in the marketing realm, but marketing products, what other considerations go into marketing a product as opposed to just marketing a service?
Well, and I know we have a hard stop at 1:30, so I'll keep this as quick as possible. But products the difference is, like, you're generally not going to have that ability to augment your offline marketing. Like, you're not going to be able to get in front of someone and augment it. For like big ticket items like a house or a car, yeah, you will have that salesman type thing where someone is actually going to augment your marketing. But for, you know, retail, online retail, and other type online goods, your online marketing is basically all you've got. So from the minute that your marketing funnel basically extends directly into your sales funnel from there, and you have to create then more stages after the kind of engagement phase. So with like service-based marketing leads to networking in a lot of cases. In product, marketing leads directly to sales and cuts out kind of the networking aspect of it.
Gotcha. If you want
I would say that's a good segue for next week.
Yeah, perfect. And if you want to hop off, I'll hop on the call right before I wrap things up.
Okay, cool. I'll do that.
Sweet. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Gunner Technology Livestream. Make sure to catch us next Thursday. It'll be Thursday, not Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Hop on our Facebook page and sign up for the Country Store giveaway. Country Store is a lifestyle brand for anyone who loves the outdoors. You can visit them at countrystoreoutfitters.com. And while you're on our Facebook page, answer our question of the week, which this week I believe was, did you make any resolutions for 2019? And if you did, what are they? I would be curious to hear that. Make sure to check out our ebooks on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Kobo, and anywhere else ebooks are sold. The podcast for this episode will be up on iTunes. The blog post for this episode will be up on gunnertech.com. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Gunner Technology Livestream. Make sure to catch us next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time for the next episode. I'm Derry. That was Cody. He's not here anymore, but we'll see you next week. Bye.